So I thought I was doing good. I felt like my timeline was perfect. Like I had researched things. I was a part of groups, asking questions. Listen, I thought I was doing it all the right way.
You were.
And then COVID happened and like completely rocked my world.
So, how did this Desti bride plan her destination wedding in first St. Lucia and then the Dominican Republic? That sounds absolutely nuts. It sounds crazy, but guess what? It's real. And you're going to find out just how crazy and amazing and awesome and possible it was. So, are you ready? I know that you're ready. I mean, it's been so long. I know you're ready. So, let's go. Oh, no. Hey, Desties and Bride friends. It has been a million years. Well, since you've seen me on Desti TV. If you're in the community, the Desti lovers community that is, then we do get to see each other and you know why it's been taking so long. But if you're brand new or if you just haven't joined the community for whatever reason, it's been a long time. And I know that and I'm sorry for that, but I have such a great treat for you guys. Like, this is gonna be so awesome. I love when I get to interview Desti brides from the Desti lovers community. I mean, it's amazing. It's like, first, I'm helping you and I'm coaching you and we're working through your whole Desti journey, and then you get married, and then you get to come on, and then you're all excited, and it's just, I love that so very much. It didn't start that way, of course, and I'm about to make this really long, but seriously, just real quick, just bear with me for a second. It didn't used to be like that. I used to plan, I had to pitch, and I used to have to find Desti brides and get them to agree to be on the show and just introduce myself. And now I still do that, but it's so great because now we've grown to a point to where you watch the show and then you get to be on the show and share your story. And I just love that. It's so special. So thank you for that. I just had to have a whole little moment. If you are a part of the Desti lovers community, thank you so very much. Actually, this episode is sponsored by just that, you, the Desti lovers community. It's so special having you and just making sure that you understand that having a destination wedding is more than possible. Like, it's enjoyable and it's for you no matter what your budget is. So I just absolutely positively love the community. If you have not joined the community, make sure that you hit that link in the description, whether you're listening to the podcast right now or you're watching me right now on Desti TV. Either way, hit that link in the description. Join the Desti lovers community. It's absolutely positively free. And we have monthly live Q&As. I call them Desti hours. And then we have the Bridefriend brunches, which is same idea, but just more relaxed. It's more of everybody just, what are you working on? What you got going on? And we connect with each other. We continue the conversations. We have special guests. You're about to watch this interview with Nicole, and she has agreed to be on the to be on the Bridefriend brunch. So any follow-up questions you have after watching her interview, then that's where all of that is. And then, of course, I'm always sharing and I'm giving y'all the real on everything and how to plan your destination wedding. And there's hours, honestly, if you enjoy the show, there are hours of more behind the scenes extras and tutorials, all of the things just waiting for you right now in the Desti lovers community archive. So get in the Desti lovers community. I will see you in there. But for now, let's get into this interview. Nicole and her husband brought 42 guests to celebrate their loving union at the Jellyfish Restaurant in Punta Cana, Dominican Republic, right smack in the middle of COVID. But here's the thing. They didn't start off in the Dominican Republic. She initially started planning for St. Lucia, which is where it gets funky and it gets crazy. And I'm always talking about how this is a special interview and oh my gosh, this one's so different. But you guys, seriously, this one is different. It has to be different. She planned 2 destination weddings in the middle of a pandemic. And the photos, I mean, I've clearly already started sharing them, but I just love it. And she was so excited to be able to help and share. And she got so real with us. Like, you got to see it or listen to it. And I'm going to let you get to that. But I will say she planned 2 destination weddings, which I already said. But what I haven't said is that this is actually going to be part 1. This is going to be a 2-parter. And it really makes sense because she planned 2 destination weddings. There was so much to dig into. So as usual, no matter where you're getting married, you're going to get a lot out of this interview. So I can't wait to hear how much you love it. So if you are excited, go ahead and give me that thumbs up. And if you haven't already, make sure that you hit that subscribe button and ding that bell so that you know when new episodes come. We're back, which means we're at every single week. You will see me and someone else, or some version of the Desti Guide to Destination Weddings is coming out every week, you guys. So make sure that you subscribe so that you know exactly when everything comes out. And if you're brand new, please introduce yourself. Go ahead and go to the comments and give me that hashtag I'm a Desti and let me know when and where you're getting married. I love to meet you all and get to know you and get to know when and where you're getting married. The more I know, the more I can help, because then I'm able to find guests and find professionals out there that can give you the assistance that you need. So give me that hashtag I'm a Desti, introduce yourself, and I'll be down there. Same thing goes in the comments for all of you. If you end up having any questions at all, make sure that you drop them in the comments. And if you're listening, because I always say drop it in the comments, but there are no comments for the podcast. So if you're listening, and the same thing goes for you if you're watching too, find me on Instagram. It's at desti.land, and go ahead and send me a DM. That tends to be what ends up happening anyway. But just so you know, that's another way of asking your questions. But dropping them in the comments for YouTube. I'm watching this as well, and I get notifications immediately. And then also Nicole will be watching too. So drop them in there, and she has agreed to do a follow-up into the Bridefriend Brunch. So that's in the Desti Lovers community, the Bridefriend Brunch in the Desti Lovers community. So drop those questions. I keep saying drop those questions, drop them. But drop those questions and we will get those answers for you. And Nicole, if you are watching or listening to this, thank you so very much. Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for sharing about the weddings and the personals and all of the things. And you're always such a great help in the community at the same time. So I'm going to stop. I'm going to let you all go ahead and see just how amazing I'm getting all emotional and all extra about it. So I'm going to let you see and hear just how amazing this interview is. So without further ado, here is my interview with DESTIBRIDE Nicole. I will see you next week. And until then, as usual, I am wishing you all the best week of your life and reminding you to have the time of your life, planning the best days of your life. Bye, guys. Hi, Nicole.
Hello.
Welcome. I'm so silly. Welcome. I'm so glad that you're here.
Finally.
Seriously, yeah. After how long? Yeah. How long have you been engaged?
So I got engaged July 3rd, 2018. But it feels like it's been a lot longer than that. I don't know if it's the pandemic that has something to do with that, but I feel like I've been planning my wedding forever.
That is a while though, but you've made it. You're on the Desti Guide to Destination Weddings, and you have quite a story to tell. So.
I do. Those pandemic brides, don't we all have a story to tell? So yeah.
Yes, so listen, yeah, they're gonna need to listen up for real. So, for people who don't know you, who's probably people who aren't in the Dusty Lovers community, because everybody knows Nicole. You were you're helpful. You talk to us, all of the things. But can you introduce yourself? Tell people, of course, your name, your fiance's name, where you live, where you got married, and when.
Husband.
Oh, husband. Sorry, Eric. My bad. Your husband. Give us your husband's name.
I need all my credit.
Yes, you work hard for this.
Yes. So my name's Nicole. I almost forget how old I am because I never have to say it. So I think I'm 36-ish.
Okay.
I'll be 37 this year. My husband's name is Eric, and he is 38, and we are both in North Carolina.
Okay. And where'd you get married?
We got married in Punta Cana.
Where exactly?
Dominican Republic. Jellyfish Restaurant, which is like my all-time favorite now.
Really?
Yeah, well, when I first thought about moving it over, I was torn between well, I wasn't torn. I really wanted to do it at, I think I'm pronouncing this correctly, Kakua.
I think that's how you say it too. Yeah.
They didn't have my date. Available, so I had to look at other options. So Jellyfish was actually my second option, but I'm so glad that we went with it.
Okay. And you said before we had to move over. So we are going, actually, just give a little sneak peek. Tell people where you moved over to and why you had to move over.
Mm-hmm. So I was originally supposed to get married at the Royalton St. Lucia, but due to COVID, their resort closed, and it was closed for a while, and they remained closed even after people started traveling again. But they decided to stay closed because most of their client base is from the UK, and the UK had a travel ban. So I was starting to get really, really antsy. I think it was like maybe around the beginning of this year. So our initial wedding date, regardless, after we postponed, was going to be June 18th. That's the day that everybody had already taken off. Like, we wanted to keep it at that date. So I started getting antsy around the first part of the year when they were still closed. Then I was told, don't worry, they're going to open up. They'll open up sometime in March. Well, in March, they pushed the reopening date back again. And so at that point, Eric and I talked, and I was like, I really think that we need to go with somewhere that is actually accepting people. Like, I don't want to wait until a month before our wedding date and then find out that they're not opening. Like, I cannot go through postponing again. Like, most of my guests did not have insurance, so I felt like the weight of the world was on my shoulders because everybody wanted to know, well, what's the plan? What are we doing? Like, we only have till this amount of time to use our flight credit. Like, what are you guys going to do? So I was like, I can't. So we decided to move it to Punta Cana, and not just for the reason that they were allowing people to come and travel and the resort was open, but Royalton St. Lucia was doing some crazy stuff. Like, they were charging you for your COVID testing. It was when the other resorts are paying for it, which was crazy to me because all of them are Royalton, so I don't know why they were functioning a little bit differently. They had upped their charges for just like daily fees. So that was something new, and I think they were trying to recoup from being closed for so long.
So wait, the room rates increased?
So the room rates were the same, but they added an additional fee per person per day.
So basically the room rate increased, or the stay, because it's all inclusive anyway, so they just added on another fee.
Yeah, they added on some type of fee, and I can't remember the name that they were giving it.
Okay.
So I was like, that's crazy. And then they were not allowing people off the resort. And this is everything that I'm getting from the wedding coordinator because they were still closed. So I was just like, I don't know about this. They were talking about wanting to use plastic silverware instead of flatware. You had to have a mask on during the whole thing. And I was just, for the amount of money that we were going to be paying. Mm-mm.
Yeah. Okay. So let's not go too deep into that. Let's back up a little bit first. But y'all, this is just how amazing this story is about to be. This is just a piece of it.
Just a little bit. You know, I've been up many a time. I'm like, oh, I don't know what to do.
Yes, and you got through it. I'm so happy and so proud of you. Like I really am. So I'm so happy to share your story. It's beautiful. So what was your original date?
June 13th, 2020.
Okay. So of course, yeah, that's right in the height of COVID. I remember that very well. March happened. The community opened at the exact same time, I feel like, as all of this that went on, and we got intimate very quickly. So, how long were you guys? So wait, you got engaged in 2018, you said?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you guys were planning.
July 3rd, 2018.
Okay, so you guys, you were planning for 2020. So that just added an extra year to your engagement. But how did you guys meet?
So Eric was kind of like in my DMs, like, it was kind of weird because, you know, he would just speak every now and then. And I was like, hey, whatever. And so he asked me out, like, he was like, we should do lunch or something. And at the time, like, my schedule was really crazy. So I'm a nurse. And so I was like, okay, yeah, that sounds great. But like, I never concretely made any plans. And so then it was like a long period of time that had went by and I ain't hear from him. And I was like, oh, hold up. Like, wait a minute. Like, hey, big ass. Like, and so we finally went out and it kind of just been inseparable ever since.
Oh, and what year did you guys make it official?
Oh, God. So that put me on the spot. Maybe around 2016-ish.
Okay.
I think.
Around about. Yeah. You can let us know when y'all watch this together. You know, he'll correct you. Y'all.
If I'm wrong, don't say nothing.
Right. Scroll up those DMs and you can kind of check it out and see.
Yeah. Yes. But let him tell it. It's a completely different story. He was like, oh, that I was in his boy, you better stop lying.
Oh, you were in his DMs.
No, not at all.
I have to check that history. Hold up now.
The screenshots to prove it, right? So yes.
I love it. And it's funny. So on your paperwork, like you said he's 38, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, on your paper you put 28. So I was like, "Ooh, hold on now."
Really?
I love it. No, it's just a flick of the key. But I saw it. I said, "Oh, all right now."
Major typo, 38.
Hey, I don't see nothing wrong either.
Yeah.
Okay. And how did he propose?
So okay. Let me set the tone because I think he seems to forget. Every year for my birthday, he was taking me like out the country somewhere nice. So we went to Dubai one year. Like we've just kind of been all over the place. But on his bucket list was Egypt. And so I was like, I don't know about Egypt, but okay. But he was really adamant about this one. And I didn't think anything of it. You know, like as a woman, sometimes when you feel like it's getting close to that time, you start looking for certain things. It caught me by absolute surprise because when we go on vacation, I'm typically the one packing, unpacking, laying everything out, disinfecting everything. I missed everything. So we were in Egypt and he had been talking about, like seeing on social media how when people go, they had been doing like this pose with the Sphinx that looks like you're kissing it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we were all doing it. And so then he was like, oh, yours didn't turn out right. You're going to have to do it again. So I'm over here. I promise you, because there was other people around. And I'm like, And he was like, we're like, move over a little bit to the left. Lift your head up some. And so when I turned around, he was there on one knee. And I was like completely shocked and blown away because I didn't suspect a thing. Like, it was completely, like, out of nowhere. So, yes, that was our engagement in Egypt.
I love it. That's amazing. Yeah, that's how we met. You sent me, I don't know if you remember, but you sent me your engagement video. Like, that was
Yeah, God, that must have been
a long time ago. Yeah, it was one of the, you introduced yourself and you dropped that. I was like, oh my gosh.
I remember that. That was on YouTube.
Yep. You dropped a comment. Yeah, that's awesome. That's amazing. And I'll go ahead. You can go ahead and I'll drop that in your show notes too, because we got to show that. So that'd probably be like around right now for you to see.
Yeah, that was an amazing moment. So yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. And on a side note, how was Egypt? Would you go back?
I would. It was extremely hot. But
when is your birthday? What month is your birthday?
September.
Okay.
I would go back, but and like I said, he was like adamant about going earlier, and I'm like, well, why are we going so much early? Like, it's gonna be hot. Like, that's the hottest. And he knows, like, I don't like being outdoors. I don't like doing a whole lot of sweat. Like, that's just not me. I'm like, oh, what in the world? And then he is like a real, like, he enjoys like all the educational aspects of things, and I like the fun, drinking, relaxation aspects of things. So I'm like, he was just going on and on about all this stuff that he wanted to do and learn, and I'm like, okay, well, all right. Is it cold? So yes. And we have rode on camels a couple of times. I don't necessarily like it because I'm scared of heights. And in order for us to get to the area that he wanted to propose, we had to ride the camels. And I was acting like a jerk. Like, I was like, y'all can go ahead. I'm not going. Like, I don't want to get on this thing. It's already hot, and these camels didn't smell good. I was like, no, y'all go. I had enough of camels in Dubai. I'm good. And so he was like, you are acting like a jerk. And I'm like, I don't want to do it. But everybody, like, we went with another couple, and apparently they knew, and I didn't know. So it seemed like I was being a jerk.
He still proposed, so that's so funny though. Yeah, you're like, yeah, I don't want to do this. I'm not going. He like, yeah, whatever. Come on, you'll be fine in a minute. Yeah.
The whole time on that camera, I was just talking crap, like really talking crap, and then I felt bad afterwards. Like, oh, thank you.
That's so sweet. I love it. I love that story. So, did you guys immediately know destination was what you were gonna do?
Mm-hmm. We both travel a lot, and so he's known for traveling. He traveled well before we even got together, so it just only seemed right that we would do a destination wedding. Because everybody's like, well, where y'all going next? And, ooh, we can't wait for pictures. And so, I mean, it was just, we knew it was going to be a destination. The place was a little, because we wanted to pick a place that neither one of us had gone. So initially it was between St. Lucia and Hawaii. And my travel agent actually was the one who kind of talked me out of Hawaii. She made some really good points. That's probably about the only thing she did good. But all right.
We won't discuss her name because there's a whole story to that. So we won't go there with that.
We won't mention names.
We won't mention names. That's the best thing to do right now. Oh, okay. So you guys decided on St. Lucia, and you hadn't been there. Did you guys end up visiting beforehand, or your first time was going to be when you got married? So you haven't. Oh, actually, yes, you have, but we'll wait on that. I'm snitching already. See,
look at you. That's whole.
I know. I'm about to cut that. I'm gonna cut that. That's maybe. Look at me. At this point, I'm gonna forget to cut it, and it's gonna be in there anyway. So. Yeah. But you hadn't been to St. Lucia, so you guys wanted to enjoy that then. And how did you decide on how many guests you were going to bring? How did you guys do the guest list? So we initially sent out invitations to, it was family and close friends. And that's who we initially sent out invitations to. And I think before the whole COVID thing, we had 90 something guests. But then
after COVID, a lot backed out. And so we were left with 44 including us. I think it was 44 including us. It might have been 44 without us. It was either 44 or 46, one of those.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So about half. It went down to half.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, what was your budget?
I'm gonna whisper this because I think he can hear me. So in his mind, he was like, "We're not spending no more than 10,000." And for him, he thought that was enough. Like that was a lot. And I'm thinking to myself, like, boy, you don't know how much. Like, are you kidding me? Like, we went back and forth about budget, like a lot, like to the point where I ain't talking to you right now because I'm pissed off at some of the comments that you make, and like you have no clue, no sense of how much this stuff costs, and $10,000 is not a lot of money when you're talking about a wedding. It really isn't.
Yeah.
Compared to how much it would have costed us if we had it here, because we have a lot of friends and family. So like he said 10,000, but in my mind I was like, okay, 15,000 is budget.
And where'd you guys end up? Roundabout.
Right up a little bit over 13.
Okay. Is that including your honeymoon?
Yes.
Oh.
That was including the honeymoon. Okay. I have to think about it because I was like, that was paid off so long ago.
Early. Right. Everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, and did you guys had a bridal party?
We did.
Okay. How many?
So I was supposed to have 7, and he was supposed to have 8, I think.
Okay.
8, yeah. But one of my friends, she's a nurse, her job was giving her a hard time about self-quarantining after she came back. So she could not go, and then the other one was having some issues with her partner and chose not to go. So I had 5 girls with me, and he ended up with 6 on his side.
Okay. All right. And was this adult only?
Nope.
No. You have children?
Mm-hmm.
You do. You absolutely do. How many kids do you guys have?
We have none together, but I have 2.
Right. Girl? Right. I know you have at least one girl.
One boy. One girl and one boy.
One girl and one boy. Okay. All right. Love it. So they came, of course. And who came? Who was there?
My nephews. They were the only other kids that were there.
Okay. Were other people allowed to bring kids, or did you kind of how did you guys handle the children?
We didn't specifically say no kids, but I think it was understood. And my nephews, like, they are an extension of my sister. So I just automatically knew that they were going to be there. But, I mean, we didn't have that issue. Nobody even asked about, is it okay to bring kids? Like, it just didn't come up.
Okay. Yeah. Awesome. So, yeah. How old are they? Like, they're older, right? Everybody's kind of older.
So my son will be 12 on the 28th, and my daughter is 13.
Okay. And then your nephew's around the same
Don't
age?
try to do the math in your head either.
I'll do that later.
And my nephews are they're twins, and they are 14.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I think I know who they are. I saw your photos, and I think I know who they are. So, yeah. Mm-hmm. They're tall. I feel like they're tall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because their mom is tall and dad, so yeah.
Okay. All right. You have a beautiful family. I'll be dropping all the photos. It's awesome. So you found all of your vendors initially for St. Lucia. You were planning a wedding in St. Lucia.
Yes. So I thought I was doing good. I felt like my timeline was perfect. Like I had researched things. I was a part of groups, asking questions. Listen, I thought I was doing it all the right way.
You were.
And then COVID happened and like completely rocked my world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when did you pull the trigger on Dominican Republic?
It was mid-March.
Okay.
So that left with about 3 months.
Around about, yeah. Okay. So originally, we're not even going to I feel like we're going to I'm going to have you for Bridefriend brunch because you always come you come anyway. So we'll talk about the St. Lucia part then. We're gonna move forward with Dominican Republic for the moment. So listening, everybody who's listening and watching right now, if you're not a part of the Desti Lovers community, you are missing out, and you might want to go ahead and join so you can get that Bride Friend Brunch and get the behind the scenes with her. Yes. Isn't Bride Friend Brunch fun?
Yes, it is. I enjoy it. Good. It falls, the way that it falls, it always falls on the same Saturday that we do our monthly Zoom with my family. So it's like my family Zoom call first, and then I have like a little bit of break, and then it's you. That's
why your picture sometimes is like the different.
The whole time. Yes. So that's why you always have to deal with that whole name thing. It's like, oh gosh.
So make sure you join that. Plug. The link will be in the description. Thanks. Yes. So you had to fast forward and get vendors all over again. So first you found your resort, I imagine. You guys just decided on the resort?
So as far as the resort that we were staying at, it was a even swap because we had to change it to a Royalton. So when we were looking for where we were going to switch the wedding to, we just knew we had to go by what places Royaltons were at. He has already been to the Dominican Republic, so I really was not too thrilled about it. But when I was looking at cost of flights and everything else and just trying to take into consideration everything that my guests had already paid, I didn't want to go overboard. Plus, they were not requiring us to be tested for COVID prior to entry, so that was a plus. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of why we chose Dominican Republic, but it was just an even transfer from this resort over to the other, which turned into a whole other thing because it was cheaper to the rooms were cheaper in Dominican Republic than they were in St. Lucia. Right. So I had guests who were like, I guess looking up the cost of the rooms in Punta Cana because, you know, I had a couple guests who brought family members. They didn't come to the wedding, but they came to the resort. And like when they looked at the prices of how much they paid versus how much, you know, they paid for St. Lucia, they didn't get anything back. It was like no credits, no perks, no nothing. Mm. So that kind of sucked. But by that point, I was just like, I don't care. Like, look, y'all either deal with it or not. Like,
yeah, we either gonna lose it completely or we just gonna lose some of it at this point.
Yes.
And which resort did you guys stay at?
We stayed at not St. Lucia, Lord Jesus, Royalton Bavaro.
Oh, does that have like a big boat in the, like, is there like a big pirate ship in the middle of it?
Yeah.
That's where, okay, and I know Che always watches, so he'll tell me, but that's where he proposed. I'm pretty sure that's where he proposed. I'm pretty sure that's where, I'm pretty sure that's where I got engaged. I'm almost certain. It's like the Grand Bavaro or something like that, I feel like. Beautiful white sand. Yeah, we'll figure that out later because you'll link to it. But I'm pretty sure that's the same spot.
I don't know if that's it because the boat I'm thinking about was for kids.
Okay, no then. Oh, you know what? That couldn't have been it because ours was adult only. So it might have. They must be near each other though because you must have had the Bavaro and then the Grand Bavaro.
Resorts with the name Bavaro in it because that was the area that we were in.
Ah, okay, never mind then. See, he would have corrected me anyway. But you already corrected me. So, it's beautiful area. Okay, so you chose that resort. That's what happened with that, and then. Did you even entertain the idea of getting married on the resort, or did you know that you wanted to do off resort?
Okay, so let me rewind on this one. So you know my frustration with my travel agent.
Yes.
So when I got the information about Royalton Bavaro, some of the stipulations were ridiculous, and then we went from paying, it was $350 for the vendor fees in St. Lucia to $500 per vendor at Royalton Bavaro. And then with it being so close to our wedding date, we did not have the option to like choose the locations. We pretty much had to go with what was available. So for the ceremony, it was in one location on the resort at one time, and then it was a huge gap between the time that the reception would have been. So when I'm looking at price wise, like my vendors, I would have had to pay them to do nothing, to just sit there, because it was like a 4-hour gap. So I started doing the math. I wrote everything out. I put cost on everything, and it was just not cost effective at all. And my travel agent, when I was telling her this, she was like, well, the only way we can move your wedding party, your wedding group, is if you have your wedding on site. So in my mind,
I have to have this shitty ass wedding that I don't want. We'll call it shitty because you don't want it. It doesn't. Some people have the gaps or all the things. That's fine. But what you'd want is what you want, and you can't have that.
Right. And it wasn't even anything extravagant. Like, I took my invoice from St. Lucia, the things that I requested there, and just compared it to how much it would have been in Punta Cana, and the price was ridiculous. And what made it even more ridiculous was the price difference for the vendor fees, because we went from, all of my vendors were outside vendors in St. Lucia.
Yeah.
I was not, when I looked on site, and that's what I had to tell Eric too. So when I looked on site, it seems like the prices are cheaper, but it's really not cheaper. It's like they jack the prices up, but you're not paying a vendor fee. So it feels like, you're getting a bargain, but you're not, because outside vendors are charging less, but you have to pay that $500 vendor fee. So when I'm looking at, and if they had a second shooter or something, it was extra for them too. So it just was not cost effective. And I had changed coordinators 4 different times. Like through the Royalton, the weddings department, I had changed it 4 different times. And then the person that I ended up with in Punta Cana, it was hard to get in contact with her. Like, I would email, I would call, nothing. And then maybe 2 weeks later, she would reach out to me. And I'm thinking to myself, if it's like this now, like, I don't foresee it getting any better after we're spending thousands of dollars. So I was like frustrated, and I asked her, I said, what are my options? And she was like, well, you're not in the penalty window, so if you chose to cancel, you are well within your right. You would just lose your deposit. I said, oh, done. That's fine with me, because it was cheaper for us to have it at an off-site location and me get everything I wanted versus me like settling and having it on the resort.
Yeah, because it wasn't just the timing. It was, you didn't get to choose your venue. You probably had a lot of things that you couldn't do. So
I had to take what was available.
Yeah. Okay. So the planner ended up telling you that you could actually, like, it wasn't what your travel agent said, which is like, you do this or you don't do nothing. Okay.
Right.
So you went looking for venues.
Yes, I did. And that is how I came across Kakua. I think I'm saying that right. So that's how I came, because when I looked up weddings in Punta Cana, like, I kept seeing that location, and I was like, oh, that is so gorgeous. Like, that is so gorgeous. So I reached out to I guess it's the coordinator there, Rachel, and she was amazing. Like, even though we didn't go with that venue, she still checked in on me. Like, she gave me tips. Like, she was amazing. I absolutely love her. I included her in my my review, even though I didn't hear it there. But I asked her, I was like, so where else would you say is comparable to Kakua? And so she gave me 3 different locations, and I looked them all up, and I fell in love with Jellyfish at that point.
Oh, that's nice. So she gave you other options too. Like, she's like, we can't help you, but if you like us, you'll like these.
Yeah.
Do you remember the other ones that she offered you?
So it was Pearl Beach, Jellyfish, and it was one other one that I cannot think of the name of right off the top of my head.
Okay, that's good. I'll add that. Okay, so you chose Jellyfish, and I imagine you enjoyed the coordinators and all of that. All of them, they were helpful. Okay.
I kind of jumped the gun when I chose Jellyfish because when I was looking at prices and like the locations and things of that nature, like I knew I wanted something on the beach. So that kind of stuck out to me over Pearl, whatever it was, because that one, it just didn't look, it looked huge. It looked too big for my party. And I didn't want to get lost in all of that. Like, you know how you can have a huge venue and if you only have a certain amount of people, it just kind of looked weird. Yeah. So that's why I didn't choose that one.
Okay.
But, so I reached out to, I guess he wasn't even the court. I don't know what he was. He handled like the deposits and stuff like that. So once we made sure that my date was available and I asked him to send me just a general sample of what it would cost for 46 people. And I think it was more than that at the time, but some people had dwindled down after we had already confirmed. It must have been like maybe 55 people. And so he sent me a sample and I told him like with the bare minimum, like I don't want no extra nothing. I just need to know if this is within my budget. And so he sent me a number. You know how somebody will slide you a number and then you look at it and slide it back. So I was like, well, thank you for your time. After relocating from St. Lucia and we lost, so that was another thing. We lost all of our deposits.
Right. Yeah.
Like, I was like, I'm not trying to go over a certain amount. And he was like, so you tell me what you're comfortable paying.
Oh.
So I told him a number, and that's what they worked within. Now,
wow.
I went over that number. I did go over that number.
He knew you would go over it, so.
Yeah. But they really worked with me because of my situation. And I guess because of COVID, like they were trying to be very accommodating. Yeah. So my whole interaction with him was just paying.
Okay.
And so closer to, I think maybe about 2 months out, that's when I started working with the decorator.
Okay.
And so that kind of went on for 2 months. So, and I didn't meet the day of the coordinator till like we went for our tasting.
Okay.
Because the only person I had been communicating with was the decorator.
Interesting. Okay. But I mean, everything was beautiful. So that's interesting though. So yeah, there's I know there's different departments for everything. So the decorator was handling all of those things and passed everything to the actual day of coordinator. And that's when you met them. Okay. Now,
yep.
Yeah, touching on, so you lost your deposits.
Yeah. I lost more than deposits because we had paid more than, because I was like, well, I don't want to get there and have to bring a whole lot of money. So let's try to, if we can get it, some of this stuff out of the way, let's do it. But this was before we even knew that COVID existed. Mm-hmm. So we had paid more than just our deposit. We didn't pay the final thing off, but we had paid more than a deposit. And most of our vendors were very accommodating. I have one, which was the photographer, that was a straight ass. I mean, it's no other way to put it.
Yeah.
Like, he tried to make it seem like he was working with me, but he really was not. Like, it's unfortunate, but I mean, I just felt like at that point, it was just too much of a headache to go back and forth with him about anything.
Oh, so because you, I imagine, would you pay like half an event or?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
yeah,
it's a tough time for everybody. And you know, of course, as you know, like in the group, we've been hearing all types of things. Some people were like, okay, I get it, and some Like, look, I need this money too. So what
And definitely got it. And
yeah.
what, like, so my makeup artist, my hairstylist, she didn't charge me anything for a deposit. But my makeup artist, I had already paid for a majority of my entire wedding party.
Oh,
But you can bleep this part out. But for our honeymoon, we did a photo shoot.
okay.
So she still came and did my makeup for free just because, like, I had already paid her so much and she
Oh,
wanted
that's
to feel
nice.
I was getting some service. Yes.
Okay. Oh,
And the photographer, he said that he would do like a photo shoot for us, but then he came back and was like, okay, so he gave us dates. And I was like, well, let me make sure this is good with the makeup artist. And so once the makeup artist was like, yeah, this date is good, I came back to him and he was like, okay. But then as we got closer, he tried to make it seem like he never confirmed anything with me. So that didn't sit well with me. But then he was like, well, you a sister and, you've already paid quite a bit. I want to try to work with you as best as possible. So I might not be able to do it, but I'll send my second shooter. Never, ever, ever reached back out to me. Now, when
no.
we got in St. Lucia, because the place that we stayed at for our honeymoon kind of knew about the situation, they ended up giving us a $200 credit towards their photographer coming on site to do our photos.
Oh,
But
and since I'm gonna add this later in it, where did you honeymoon?
Ladera.
Right. Yes. Oh, so gorgeous,
Hmm.
and your photos, and I'll drop that one here too because I love it.
Yeah. So
uh,
she did the makeup, and we had the resort supplied the photographer, but he ended up like sending me a message the same day, like, "Are we on for the photo shoot?" And I was just like, at
like
that point,
really? Yeah. Let me
on.
just ignore you. Go ahead and keep that because you're causing me too much mental time right now.
Hmm.
I can't afford that right now. So
Yeah.
I'm on my honeymoon.
Yes.
Whew.
So
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. So you had the vendor stuff in St. Lucia, and then you had to hire Dominican Republic vendors. And you chose outside, so you had to find. Did you have to find everything? I
Um,
mean, did they have like florals and what did Jellyfish come with?
so Jellyfish provided all the decor, the food, the cake, and the DJ.
Okay, that's a
So
good
I
amount.
only had to hire an officiant,
Hmm.
my photographer and my videographer and my makeup person, hair and makeup.
Okay, and how did you choose hair and makeup?
I'm extra because I only have certain people that does my makeup because I've seen like horror pictures of people. So I was very, very scared. And it was two makeup artists that I kind of went back and forth with. I actually paid the deposit for one. And then she's very well known. She's been featured on Say Yes to the Dress, like, but it was something about it that just, she is sweet. She's very sweet. It's just something that didn't sit well with me. Like, I felt like when I was looking at certain pictures of colored women, it just
Colored.
didn't, us colored women, it didn't seem, it did, some people look right and some didn't. And I didn't, that's not something that I wanted to chance. So I ended up paying a tiny bit more going with another person. And another reason I chose the makeup artist and hair person that I went with was because the previous, her makeup was really nice, but the person that does the hair for her looked very basic.
Mm,
And that was not,
not you at all.
yeah, no. Now I'm all about my hair. Like, I'm all about my hair. So I had to go with someone that I felt like, okay, her makeup looked good. I can work with it, but her hairstyles look bomb. So that's how I chose it. And I
Okay.
kept my fingers crossed and prayed that she was available the day that I needed her.
And she
And she
was.
was.
Shout out to her. What's her name?
Jasmine.
And you found her on Instagram, or how'd you find her?
So there is another group on Facebook for Jellyfish, Kakua, and some other one off-site restaurant. It's a Facebook bride page. And so I just kind of searched who people had been using for makeup artists and like went and like stalked their social media pages, like stalked pictures that people posted who said that, you know, they had gotten hair and makeup done by them. And that's pretty much how I went with that one.
Okay. All right. Well, shout out to Jasmine. And did she do all of you? You as in you plus your bridal party? Was it just her by herself, or did she have a team?
So it was just her by herself that did the makeup, and she had another girl that did hair. But Jasmine, which is the main makeup artist, she was the one who also did my hair.
So she did six. She did you plus 5 and your hair. Wow. But
now 2 of those, they didn't have like a full beat face. Like my daughter, she didn't have a full beat face, and then my sister, she doesn't really wear makeup, so she just had you know, the basics. But she moved very fast, and her, like, the girls look good. So
yeah.
And we were an hour and 45 minutes late.
Did you go to her?
No, she met us at the location.
Oh, okay.
So there was a bridal suite at the restaurant.
Okay. And y'all were an hour and 45 minutes late.
Yeah, we were. No fault of my own.
Right.
We so they send a shuttle to pick us up, but the resort would not allow the shuttle to come on site. Mind you, the same shuttle had come to pick me and Eric up like 2 days before that for us to go to our tasting. They would not allow them to come and pick. And like, we had tons of stuff. There is no way I was going to walk outside the gates with all this stuff. So then they were like, well, we have to get special clearance, I guess because of the curfew times. And the time that they were picking us up was before the curfew ended. So like, they were there at like 7 something. So yeah, that was a whole big to do.
Oh, okay. It really wasn't your fault then. Okay.
Yeah, it was not my fault this time. So yeah.
Okay.
That's the work, like, she was moving.
Good. Yeah, she did. You looked really good. Even when you had your curls, like beforehand, the photos where you kind of have them setting already, she felt. Yeah. Even that, I was like, oh, she looks good and she's not done. Like, who does that?
When she showed me the picture, I was like, oh my God, is that me? Like, oh, so yeah. And I had never done airbrush makeup. So she did airbrush, and it was nice.
Yeah. Yeah, it photographs beautifully. We did that too. Yeah, Ivory did that for me. So awesome. Okay, so you got your vendors. And you had to get you said you got your photographer, right?
Yes. So I also had to look for photographers, and there was one particular photographer that everybody recommended, but they were not available the day of my wedding. So then I ended up going with the second person that most people recommended. And he was available. Okay. And so they did our photography.
And that's Junior Cruz?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. And they did photography and videography?
No, they just did photography.
Oh.
I had a separate vendor for videography.
Okay. Who did that?
So that was, they used to be called Roll Cinema, but they're in the process of rebranding. Okay. So they're Pom now.
Okay. All right. So yeah, I'll be dropping all the links in the show notes and all that good stuff. So yes. They did a great job. And then your video, you sent me the sneak peek, which was like, I was like, okay.
I can't wait to get the real one.
I know.
Teased me good, like, okay, send me the real one. I want to see all of it.
Yes, that is a perfect teaser. Yeah, it's like it just stopped. I was like, wait, hold on, wait a minute, where's the rest? So good, yeah. Awesome. Aw. Okay, so you are in. Look, I'm funny. Where are we going with this? rewind to the guests really quick, because when it went down, of course, you went from 90 to 42.
40.
Right. How did you deal with that? And how was that, like, was it all, I guess it was slowly, right? Was it a thing?
It was slowly, because when COVID happened, they allowed people to cancel up into a certain period and not be penalized. Initially, we would have been in our penalty phase, but because of COVID, they did try to work with us a little bit. At first, they said no, but then after our talk with Sarah, I did some pushback, and so that was changed. So they did allow some people to cancel for it, like it was a certain window that they gave us without penalty. So we had some people cancel at that point, and then it kind of slowly dropped off, as time went on. Like my mom didn't come because my dad, she didn't feel comfortable leaving my dad with anybody that he didn't know. Because of his dementia and Alzheimer's. So she didn't come. And then, of course, like I said, one of my really good friends because of her job. And then we had pregnancies. We had people who had tested positive for COVID. Yeah. So, it was a combination of a lot of things. And, as time went on, people kind of dropped off. And I was absolutely okay with that.
Yeah.
Because, the more people that dropped off, the less money I had to pay. So I was like, yes, okay, all right.
Not for everybody, no.
No. And you know what? And I really, now that I think about it, some brides are okay with the bigger settings. To me, that was just perfect for us.
Yeah.
Because I didn't feel like I ignored anybody, and I felt like I was able to spend at least a little bit of time with everybody that was there.
Good. Yeah, I saw you got that group photo. I know you remember I was like, oh, I'm always talking about you need to get that group photo. Like if there's anything you get.
I was like, well, where is this person in? Where was this person in? I don't even see them in the picture.
Yeah, there's one person who's kind of behind someone, and I was like, wait a minute, there's somebody back there.
And that we had to rush and get that because it had started raining.
No.
Yep.
Okay.
So shortly after our ceremony, it started raining. So the group picture was important to me. So he had to hurry up and all right, y'all, let's get in here, look happy, come on. So yeah. Yep.
They probably was at the bar. They were drinking somewhere doing something.
Cocktail hour has started.
Yeah. Okay. So you had some people. So actually, you mentioned your father. So in 2020, when everything shut down and you decided to move your date, you decided to do something else in between. Want to talk about that?
Yeah. So we legally got married in 2020 on my birthday, September 6th. So I'm expecting.
Don't miss part 2. 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 Don't miss part 2.